This is a CBC podcast.
For years, men were disappearing from Toronto's gay village.
I feel terrorized.
I'm Justin Ling. This season on Uncover.
If we see this is happening, how can you not see this?
They suspected a serial killer. And they were right.
Police arrested 66-year-old Bruce MacArthur.
But this wasn't the first time the village was targeted.
You don't start killing at 66. You'd start killing when you're in your late teens or early 20s.
Uncover, The Village. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey Canada, are you ready for some back and forth on the Danforth? From the Danforth Music Hall in Toronto, it's The Debaters! The Debaters, where comedians fight with facts and funny, and this audience picks the winner. Now here's a man who's music to our ears, Steve Patterson.
Hey! Hello, Canada! Hello, Toronto! Welcome back to The Debaters. Always great to be here in my hometown of Toronto, a city full of historic neighborhoods. I just learned that Toronto's exclusive Yorkville neighborhood, a magnet for old money, was built on what used to be a graveyard that closed in 1885. True story. So the locals there aren't scared seeing glamorous Gucci-wearing ghosts or Prada-sporting poltergeists. In fact, the only thing that scares the locals there is that one day a very scary Value Village may open. Ooh, ooh. Anyway, ready to meet two debaters who are in high spirits? Let's bring them out. This comic believes when it comes to balding that if at first you don't recede, try and try again. It's Graham Chittenden. Graham Chittenden, the full-haired Graham Chittenden. Look at that lid. Hi. And this comic thinks 120 cents is a dime a dozen. It's Lori Elliott. There she is, Lori.
Hello.
Looking ready as always.
I feel ready.
Always with a smile on your face.
You know, I'm crazy.
Your topic is booth versus table. Which is the superior seating option for dining out? Those are the options that are typically presented to you by the host or hostess at a restaurant, but many here will remember when they used to ask you, smoking or non-smoking? Don't lie to me, old people, you remember that. For our young listener, smoking and non-smoking, it wasn't different buildings or even different rooms. It seems crazy now. As crazy as patients and doctors smoking in a hospital, which they were also allowed to do, by the way. And the warnings on cigarette packs were different. They just said, the Surgeon General warns you that smoking is delicious. Now it's time for a debate that's just what the doctor ordered. So, whereas a booth usually provides more space and privacy, be it resolved, booth beats table. Lori, you're arguing for this, please. You have 2 minutes, starting now.
Okay, by applause, how many people here have ever asked for a booth at a restaurant? Okay, all right. Okay, you see, that is scientific. Scientifically proven it is that people prefer booths over tables, and that those who deny this fact also deny global warming and think the world is flat. And here's a fun fact. Did you know that the word limousine is French for booth on wheels? Mais oui. Booths make you feel special. Why do I want to go to a restaurant and pay to sit at a table when I've got one for free at home? In fact, I stole the table in my kitchen from a restaurant because they're not nailed down. Steve, do you know how many restaurant tables I have in my garage? Let's just say I'd get charged with grand theft table if I were stupid enough to tell anyone. But I'm not. I'm smart. I'm smart like a booth. I'm not dumb as a table. And we've all heard that saying before, right? Dumb as a table? Or that's so table. Wait, you never skipped any classes in high school? That's so table. And tables get put in your washrooms. Booths don't. And my favorite thing to do at a restaurant is crop dust the table by the washroom while I'm on my way there. Booths are aspirational. Yes, we could all cruise through life settling for tables, but it's the people who want the booth. No, it's the people who wait for the booth when the tables are available that make something of themselves. So let me ask you people out there, are you table or are you a booth? Thank you.
Lori Elliott. She's all about the booths, no table. Thank you, Lori. Now, to tell us that he'd like to chair a committee on how great tables are, it's the booth-busting Graham Chittenden.
Dining out, the great experience. You know, you're starving, you're waiting, and finally it's your turn. The hostess grabs 2 menus and says the magic words, right this way. It's happening. Soon you'll be basking in culinary delights, but not before you ruin it with these words. Can we have a booth? You're in public. You're in society. And the first request that comes out of your mouth is, do you have a couple of couches we can crash on? Tables are classy. At a fine dining restaurant, the maitre d' pulls out your chair. The chair moves to you, not the other way around. For a booth, you've got to plant 1 foot and swing your butt in, and then try and do little sideways ass hops like a frog with a neurological condition. And if you think you've got a butt that won't quit, try hot vinyl on a July afternoon. It'll quit. 2 inches in, and you'll make a noise like a barking seal. And once you climb into this dirty little box, now your bathroom breaks are the mercy of the people beside you. In a table, it's all freedom. In a booth, relieving yourself begins with the question, could you let me out? That's something you ask in prison, not at dinner. Booths are as outdated as smoking in a restaurant. All the world's worst people hang out in booths. Payphone users, DJs, juries. And I guess whoever agrees with Lori, thank you.
Graham Chittenden. Oh, yeah. Has just tabled a very strong argument on behalf of tables. All right, debaters, it is time now for the bare knuckle round. We're debating restaurant, booth versus table. So for starters, here's a good tip. Pepper your opponent with logic and laughs, and don't cushion your blows as they get their just desserts. I know you are each vying for the final word here, but don't spoon feed the audience, or they're likely to ask, what the fork is up with that? I know. That one cut like a knife.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say to you, Graham, maybe you should stop wearing your short shorts to restaurants in the summertime.
Good point.
If I can't dine in my Daisy Dukes, I'm not dining. That's a rule for me.
All right, that's fine. But also, you don't have to say, can you let me out? The fun of booths is if you're sitting in the middle, you say, hey, guys, check this out. And then you just plug your nose and pretend you're going underwater. Then you scoot out from under the table, jump up, and my clothes are on inside out. It's called booth jokes.
Your idea of fun is my idea of a biohazard. Like, you've been under a booth. You know who's never been under a booth? The cleaners. They put up the chairs to clean the tables. Do you know how they clean under a booth? No, nobody does. Nobody knows how to clean under a booth.
I don't think booths are dirty. I don't. I think they're very easy to wipe down because they're made of the finest leatherette. Okay.
You know, booths get cleaned to a certain point. You know how clean a booth is? Depends entirely on how long the server's arm is. They give it one swipe in, but that back wall where the condiments sit is like a dirty, huddled mass that should be arriving at Ellis Island any minute now.
No, that's fun. That's a treasure trove back there. It's exciting. You never know what you're going to find. Once I found a bottle of Heinz 57 sauce from 1957. I had some, and I was tripping for days.
You know what? We're going to call it there. That's the bare knuckle round. Yeah. It is time now for the firing line. In my hand, I have a list of questions on tables versus booths, brought to you by PEI's first barrier-busting restaurant bus girl, Anne of Clean Tables. Groan if you want. We're still going to make it into a show on this network. What special features do the tabletops have in Myrtle Beach's chemistry-themed restaurant, The Chemist? Lori.
Cocaine.
No.
Is it just heroin? I've been to Myrtle Beach. These seem like the only obvious answers here.
No, it's drug-related, but not the drugs you guys are talking about. At The Chemist in Myrtle Beach, they have all display the periodic table of elements on the tabletops. You can learn a little while you're eating.
Oh, look, I got that kind of gas.
That's right. It's a noble gas.
And the people sitting at the table by the washroom get that
They
too.
got that
while
too.
I'm going there, so.
A restaurant booth is on display at the Ronald Reagan Museum in California. Why? Lori Elliott?
Because the Booth Museum next door was full?
A couple people really enjoyed that one. It's on display at the Ronald Reagan Museum in California because it's the booth where Ronald proposed to Nancy Reagan. Aww. See? Isn't that nice?
To be fair, he proposed Reaganomics, so it's not as romantic as you think.
Name the restaurant reservation system that is able to calculate 10,000 customer seating options in 2 seconds. Graham?
The Rain Manager?
That's pretty good. Yeah. I'm going to give you 2.5 points. A lot of these people haven't been out to movies in a while.
Yeah.
It's called the 7 Rooms Auto Assign Algorithm. Yeah, use that at your next party. That's the firing line, everybody. All right. Just about time for our Danforth Music Hall audience to vote. But first, here again to tell us that he will flip a table if someone says booths are better again. It's table talker Graham Chittenden.
Thank you. The stability of a table can be fixed with a few coasters. But the stability of someone who prefers a booth is a much bigger problem that threatens the stability of our society. Let me sum up things with a quote. A booth killed my father. Now, that's not my quote. That was one of Abe Lincoln's kids. Abraham Lincoln, the president who signed the Emancipation Proclamation and freed the slaves at a table, he did that at a table, but was killed in a booth by a guy named Booth. So you can cheer for Booths, but that's a cheer for slavery, and that'll be your choice, okay? We will see where you stand, and we will see where you sit. Thank you very much.
Graham Chittenden. Whoa! Whoa! Well played. Nice job. All right, now to tell us why loving the booth is her real truth, it's Booth Booster, Lori Elliott.
Wow, thank you. Ooh, well. The flat-earthing climate change denier just called us booth lovers racist. That is so table. Just because booths are better, like we all know, it doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement. In fact, I've created a booth where the table emerges from the floor with a white tiger on it, all Vegas style. And then you just adjust the sizing to meet your needs using a remote control and hydraulics and fireworks and other cool stuff. It's the future. And you'll be the first person I invite to my game-changing booth, Graham. Maybe you can order some of the cheese you think the moon is made of. In conclusion, go booth or go home. Thank you.
Lori Elliott. All right. She's taking the booth side. Graham clearly on the table side. Let's see whose side the audience is on. It's time to vote by applause. Who thinks that Lori's booth boosting was the best? Lori Elliott. Some nice support for Lori. And who thinks Graham's table tabulations took this one? Graham Chittenden. Whoa! Wow! I don't know if you can tell at home, but they have a favorite. The winner is Graham Chittenden. Tables are better than booths. Big hand for Graham Chittenden and Lori Elliott, everybody.
You're listening to The Debaters on CBC Radio. Did you know you can get past episodes of The Debaters on iTunes? Go to cbc.ca/thedebaters to find out how. That's cbc.ca/thedebaters. And now, back to Steve Patterson.
Hey, Toronto, are you ready to meet your next pair of debaters? Let's do this. When this comic is here, we say Courtney's in session. It's Courtney Gilmore. Courtney Gilmore, everybody. Making her way to the lectern to my right. And this comic is so reasonably happy. He's on cloud 7. It's Chris Locke. Chris Locke on cloud number 7. This topic is a good one for anyone who considers themselves a student of life. Is there such a thing as a stupid question? I myself like to keep my mind nimble by considering the great Canadian paradoxes of our time. Which came first, the donut or the Timbit? If you apologize for apologizing, are you really sorry? Or if a customer is in the bay, but there isn't an employee around to help with the purchase, is it really shoplifting? Enough pondering. It's time for pontification. So, whereas asking is essential to learning, be it resolved there's no such thing as a stupid question. Chris, you are arguing for this, please. You have 2 minutes, starting now.
Can I eat glass? Can I wear fire? Can I keep this hot, just out of the oven apple pie under my hat? There's no such thing as a stupid question. There's stupid people. And we need these stupid people to ask questions so we can stay alive. I posit that stupid people are the pioneers of common sense. Someone once picked up a piece of raw chicken and asked, "Can I eat this?" And then they did. And then they sat on the toilet for 72 hours. And then they died. Today we call that man a fool. But I call him a researcher. So, when someone asks, "Can I bring my vintage transistor radio into the bathtub?" we now have the knowledge to yell, "Be careful, you fool!" Thanks to the hard work of the stupid scientists of the past. Asking stupid questions has its rewards. For example, I asked my wife, "Will you marry me?" I knew she would, of course, marry me. I'm the best man I know. I still had to ask the stupid question or she wouldn't have confirmed it by saying yes. And if she hadn't have said yes, then I'd still be single. I'd still be free to do whatever I want, with whomever I want, whenever I want. What kind of life is that? Without stupid questions, the human race would still be stupid. Thank you.
Chris Locke, ladies and gentlemen. He just did some sort of celebration. Thank you, Chris. Now, to tell us that certain questions are questionable, it's awesome answerer, Courtney Gilmore.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. The question of whether or not there's such thing as a stupid question may be the stupidest question of all. I know for a fact that there are stupid questions. I'm an amputee. I've been asked all of them. One time, I was in a cab, and when the driver noticed I don't have hands, he looked at me and said, "Are you okay?"
Chris Locke is leaving the stage. Chris thinks this is over already.
Are you telling me that's not a stupid question? What did he think could possibly be the answer? That this situation is fresh? It just happened, but I'm on my way to Jack Astor's for some reason? People think there are no stupid questions because they assume that everyone who asks them is genuinely trying to learn something. Just because you learn something doesn't mean your question isn't stupid. I'd like to invite my opponent, Chris, to consider for a moment his Google search history. Is that the best example of your pursuit of higher knowledge? Are any of us willing to claim genius over those late-night drunken texts to Siri asking if it's possible to cry underwater? Sometimes we're all just big, stupid idiots. And you know what? That's okay. Thank you.
Courtney Gilmore, ladies and gentlemen, arguing on behalf of stupid questions. Now it's time for the bare knuckle round, where we say, inquiring minds want to know, is there no such thing as a stupid question? Which is actually not a stupid question. Grill your opponent on your search and destroy mission. Consider your task at hand before you set off on your request. Keep talking until your opponent gets all query-eyed, and then modify your question to a stupidity. You ready? That's a stupid question, because even if you're not, we're going to start now.
Courtney, when you mentioned my Google searches, that freaked me out. I never want anyone to see that. That's it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Chris, you said that people who ask stupid questions are the pioneers of common sense, and without them, we would be dead. My thing is, anyone who's asking the questions, can I eat glass and can I wear fire, deserves to be weeded out. Have you ever heard of the Darwin Awards, Chris? Get them out of here.
Yes, but snobby elitists like you and I, Courtney, learn from watching these fools. Isn't that right? So we benefited from those stupid people. That's my point.
Oh. Well, I thought that was stupid, but at least it wasn't a question. So.
Okay, that's the bare knuckle round, everybody. Time now for the firing line. In my hand, I have a list of questions on stupid questions. Brought to you by the card game, 20 questions. First question of which these days should be, why don't I always have an iPad so we wouldn't have to play this stupid game? In 1970, advice columnist Dear Abby suggested there's no such thing as a stupid question so long as the question is what? Chris?
Smart.
That's one full point, Chris. There's no such thing as a stupid question as long as the question is sincere. A loaded question is a question that contains what? Courtney?
Sour cream, cheddar, and bacon bits.
No, a loaded question is a question that contains a controversial or unjustified assumption. According to Forbes.com, what is the number 5 question not to ask in a job interview? Courtney?
Can I DJ the Christmas party?
We'll give a point for that. Chris Locke?
Who's loose here? Loose.
2.5 for that. The number 5 question, according to Forbes.com, not to ask in a job interview, will there be a drug test? That's the firing line, everybody. Just about time for our amazing Danforth Music Hall Theater audience to pick a winner. But first, here again to tell us that some questions leave her questioning the asker's sanity. It's just the facts from Courtney Gilmore.
Not all questions are stupid, but to say there are no stupid questions is like saying there are no stupid people. And are we to believe that the guy in Florida who put his arm in a tiger cage and had it bitten off has only ever asked smart questions? Are we supposed to think that he only did it because he forgot to ask, should I put my arm in this tiger cage? Stupidity is what makes us human. It's what unites us. Asking stupid questions is a humbling experience that we cannot and should not try to erase from our history. But we have to be honest that they're stupid questions. It takes true courage to ask Yahoo Answers whether or not you will go blind looking at a picture of the sun. A vote for me is a vote for your freedom to say, hey, can I ask you a stupid question? Thank you.
Courtney Gilmore. Nice job. She's fine with stupid questions, a nice concise argument, and a nice little plug for Yahoo Answers, because I didn't know that was still going. Now, here again to tell us that he never questions questions, it's the ever-wise Chris Locke.
Okay, so everyone needs to remember that 200 years ago, these were considered stupid questions. What if horses' legs had wheels? Is there anything more comfortable than wool? What if we moved the toilet inside the house? Can you not drill a hole in my head because I have anxiety? Listen, Carl Sagan stated, there are naive questions, tedious questions, ill-phrased questions, questions put after inadequate self-criticism, but every question is a cry to understand the world. There is no such thing as a dumb question. And to that, I ask, who is Carl Sagan? All right.
Chris Locke, everybody. Yeah, nice job. Audience, it is up to you to decide by applause who thinks that Chris's pro-question quips conquered this debate. Chris Locke. No such thing as stupid questions. Yeah. And who thinks that Courtney's dumb query cut-ups clinched this debate? Courtney Gilmore. This is very close. This was a hard-fought debate. Good points on both sides, and this is my job that I get to do. I'm calling it a tie. I'm not sure if there are stupid questions or not. Big hand for Courtney Gilmore and Chris Locke, everybody. Well, that's all for this week. I'm Steve Patterson saying there's no such thing as a stupid question, but my God, there are a lot of stupid question periods. I'll argue with you again soon, Canada. Good night.
The Debaters, created by Richard Side. Produced this week by Graham Clark, Nicole Callender, Katie Ellen Humphreys, and Josh Bailey. Technical production by John McLean and Kyle Katasowicz. Executive producer of CBC Radio Comedy is Tracy Rideout. And thanks to everyone at the Danforth Music Hall in Toronto. Hey Debaters fans in Sydney, we're coming to the Savoy Theatre on June 25th. For details, visit our website. We're cbc.ca/thedebaters.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.